Hi guys, I'm Mike. This is F1 Fanatics, and this is our race live reaction. And what a race we just had in Brazil! It may just be because I'm in the hype of the moment with it, but that is my favourite race of the season so far. Had a bit of drama, had a bit of action, had fighting between the guys at the top. Um, Plenty of drama throughout. Yeah, was absolutely what a crazy race we have just had in Brazil. Max Verstappen claiming his another win this season and converting his first ever pole position to win in his career. So yeah, absolutely fantastic race. Mark in the comments there from Beyond the Grandstand saying easily his favorite race of the season so far as well. Just yeah, what an incredible race. So guys, hi Ash, he is in. So I was watching, we had just been to Silverstone for today, and I was watching the majority of this race in the back of Ashley's car there, and then we managed to watch the last 5 laps at his house, which again, those 5 laps were mental in itself, with obviously Vettel and Leclerc clashing, Albon and Hamilton clashing. I think guys have probably figured it out already, but Hamilton has been given a 5-second penalty for that, which promotes McLaren to their first podium since what race was it? But since 2014, McLaren have got their first podium. I'm a little bit disappointed the fact that obviously the penalty came after the race, because it's meant that McLaren couldn't have the moment of being up there on the podium to celebrate. But it's still a fantastic achievement. But Max Verstappen, for me, his thunder's almost stolen by the fact that Pierre Gasly in a Toro Rosso has secured a P2 position, his first ever career podium, and the guy's driven for Red Bull. He's got a better result in a Toro Rosso than a Red Bull. That is absolutely mental, just absolutely crazy race. So what I'm going to try and do, guys, is I'm going to go through the race results 1 to 20 here, and then try and point out some major incidents in the race and try and get your guys' reaction in the comments, as well as our reaction to what was, yeah, just a absolutely fantastic, it's a classic circuit, and what a race Brazil has produced for us out there. So Max Verstappen coming in P1. Pierre Gasly in P2. Carlos Sainz, his new position, has been promoted up into P3, with Lewis Hamilton getting that 5-second penalty. I believe Hamilton has dropped all the way down to 7th with that 5-second penalty. So that means that Kimi Raikkonen has been promoted to 4th. Giovinazzi 5, so a fantastic race performance for the Alfa Romeos as well. Yeah, 4 for Kimi Raikkonen, 5 for Giovinazzi, 6 for Daniel Ricciardo, and 7 for Lewis Hamilton. Lando Norris comes in at P8. Sergio Perez in P9, securing a points finish. Daniel Kvyat P10, so getting another point for Toro Rosso as well. K-Mag 11 and Roman Grosjean. George Russell 12, Roman Grosjean 13, Alexander Albon 14. So unlucky, was going to get his first ever career podium, and Lewis Hamilton going for that bold move that was just a little too bold. Nico Hulkenberg P15, Robert Kubica 16, Sebastian Vettel 17 with that DNF, Charles Leclerc 18 DNF, Lance Stroll suspension failure DNF, and Valtteri Bottas obviously causing that late drama with his engine failure, DNF'd as well. So yeah, trying to break down that first half of the race. I think the first 24 laps were absolutely mental. Was Max went flat out from the start, built up a good lead. Lewis Hamilton had got ahead of Vettel at the start. Then Vettel was kind of in his own little category there. Bottas and Albon were kind of struggling a little bit. They weren't necessarily having great pace, but they were maintaining there. It was basically, the race was going to be, is Lewis going to be able to catch Max? Max is on fire. Can he get anything from here? And then obviously you had Charles Leclerc starting in P14, making his way up the field, and yeah, flying up the race there. You also had Daniel Ricciardo making his way up the field, and the first major incident of the race was probably his penalty that he got for causing a collision with Kevin Magnussen. Kevin Magnussen allowed him room on the inside. I think it is turn 4 that it goes round there. Basically, Ricardo locked up going into the corner, and he spun Kevin Magnussen out, basically ruining Kevin Magnussen's race. So Kevin Magnussen getting a P11. I know if Katie is watching this, she will be, I'm sure, absolutely fuming with Kevin Magnussen, because the Haas actually maintained reasonable race pace. I'm not sure why they kind of dropped off at the end. I'm not sure. It was all chaotic at the end. I'm not entirely sure what happened, whether Grosjean was involved in a collision. But yeah, very interesting from there. That's first major. Then it was the pit stops, and Lewis Hamilton was the first to pit. He got out. He put in a fantastic lap. But Max Verstappen and Red Bull looked like they'd covered this, had a fantastic pit stop. I think it was about 2.3 seconds. But as they are coming out on the pit exit, Williams, what the heck? That was a mad decision, Williams, in terms of releasing Robert Kubica early in the pits. Yeah, just absolutely, yeah. Well, Robert Kubica got a 5-second penalty for an unsafe pit release there, and could have easily compromised Max's race. He had to kind of take evasive action, brake late, and that put him behind Hamilton. But he wasn't behind Hamilton for long. He caught him so easily and breezed past. And if I'm being honest with you, this race was all Max Verstappen, and he was leading. He was leading comfortably there, even after the second pit stops. I think. Kid loves F1. Thank you for watching the live reaction. Since Merck didn't have Ocon, they just used Kubica. Yeah, that is a fair point. Max does seem to have a lot of trouble with people trying to take him out in the race lead at Brazil. Apparently, no one wants Max to win Brazil, but he stuck it to them. Absolutely incredible race by Max. But yeah, Red Bull on the second pit stops got it. There was obviously after that first pit stop, I would say there was kind of a lull in the race. There wasn't very entertaining. You can tell that just by the commentary that Crofty was having, and getting Ted Kravitz involved in this, where they spent a large amount of the race talking about the wind. And I was like, right, okay, you guys are bored. Nothing's happening. You're deciding to talk about the wind affecting Mercedes, because Hamilton, in usual fashion, was on the radio, yeah, talking about something that was in typical self-motivating Hamilton form. What is mad? Mercedes B team Kubica release takes it on the chin for the big brother. Yeah, Scott Darrow, you're probably right there. Could we say conspiracy theories that, you know, Toto Wolff sitting at home gives, you know, Williams a call up in the garage saying, release Kubica now, stop Max from taking the lead? That would have been it. Viandra there going dramatic last few laps. So back onto the race after that second pit stop. Another 1.9 second pit stop from Red Bull. I mean, I don't know if that's beating their record again, but a fantastic pit stop, get Max Verstappen out ahead, and then it looks like Max has got it. Lewis is trying to catch, but it's whether anything can Bottas get past Charles Leclerc. There were a couple of kind of two-stop strategies that weren't, but it was coming to a good conclusion, but not quite. But then Valtteri Bottas had an engine failure, and he retired, and he pulled over in looked what a safe space. And I thought yellow flags were going to happen. At most, a virtual safety car was going to happen. But for some reason, F1 decided to bring out a full safety car. But if I'm being honest with you, I'm very happy they brought out a full safety car, because it meant that we got the fantastic and mental ending that we got. Yeah, just from there. So Bottas went out. Obviously, it closed everything up. Max Verstappen pitted for a fresh set of softs. Lewis Hamilton stayed out. I think also Vettel came in for a fresh set of softs as well, but it basically massively benefited. I think even at some point it benefited Roman Grosjean. I think at this point Grosjean was running in P6. So yeah, it was absolutely crazy on that front. Viandra saying Red Bull's crew in the race is so fired up. They are absolutely. They've got to be the pit crew that have been the best pit crew all season. From Joe Blogs, screw you Hamilton fans. Yeah. Well, fair enough. I think Hamilton's he's not had a great end to the race there. But I think championships round up, that 5-second penalty was fair. Very unlucky for Alexander Albon. But yeah, that end to it, just trying to manage it. So obviously at the start, Verstappen has pitted for these softs and he's behind Hamilton on track position and goes round the outside. Then the Ferraris are fighting each other. And then it is coming out of, I think Leclerc took Sebastian Vettel through the centre S's, but Vettel had the better traction on the exit out of the centre S's, went to go past him. For me, it's a racing incident. They've got close, they've touched wheels. Then Leclerc's completely lost his front right. And then Vettel has got a rear left puncture. And both Ferraris are out of the race. Yeah, absolutely mental. If you are a Ferrari fan, I know I'm wearing a Ferrari top. But yeah, if you are a Ferrari fan, I do really feel sorry for you there, because carnage running in 4th and 5th, but again made it exciting. Again, we're under another safety car going in. They then decide to pit Hamilton, this time Mercedes, which promotes Pierre Gasly onto the podium. Pierre Gasly in a Toro Rosso. He couldn't even get a podium in a Red Bull, but he's running in P3 in a Toro Rosso. Then we come from the safety car. Hamilton gets past. He's looking to get past Albon. Nobody overtakes in sector 2. That is such a tight kind of section of the track. Yes, Albon's left a little bit of a gap, but no, Hamilton, you can't go for a gap there. Spins Albon out, which obviously he's subsequently been punished for. Poor Albon, robbed of his first kind of podium in a Red Bull. But it does mean that Pierre Gasly has got promoted to P2. It'd be interesting to see what you guys think. Mark thinks 90% at fault. Seb at the instant. Okay, fair enough from that. We'll talk about more of that in the comments for you guys there. But yeah, mental, where was I? It'd be interesting to hear your thoughts. I think Hamilton hasn't pushed hard at the end. I think he's kind of realised what it means to Pierre Gasly in a tough year, getting a P2 for Toro Rosso. And Daniel Kvyat, overlooked for the Red Bull seat in the summer, but all he has on his for the season, he has, at least I can hold, I've got a podium for Toro Rosso this year in Germany. Nobody's going to better that this year. Brazil 2019 rocks up with Pierre Gasly. There he goes. And he's got P2, the second best result for Toro Rosso ever in the history of the team. Yeah, absolutely mad. And yeah, I'll come on to it. Sainz getting promoted into P3 podium. Fantastic. Like I said, McLaren first podium since 2014. Yeah, absolutely incredible. I'm so sorry that, Sainz has been robbed of that moment of his first ever podium, getting on it. So his first ever official podium, he isn't really able to enjoy and celebrate it because the race was done before the penalty was introduced. And for me, it looked pretty clear cut on Hamilton. So I'm a little bit disappointed they weren't able to get that quickly. But I think I've kind of covered everything in that mad, brilliant race that we've just watched. What a fight it was between Lewis and Max as well. Great overtaking on track. Some superb moves. Yeah, Viandra going there. Gasly struggles to pass people at Red Bull, but gets a podium at Toro Rosso. The irony is absolutely mental. So I'm going to throw the floor to you guys watching. What were your favourite moments of the race? Any questions from the race? Sainz still in the steward's room. What is Sainz still in the steward's room for, Mark? Notice if anyone can help from there. Any other questions in terms of from watching? What are your reactions to what a fantastic race that was, guys? Red Ferrari, oh my god, Ferrari, how did they get it wrong? Max Verstappen, how impressed were you in terms of the pace that he showed? Mercedes obviously were struggling with the altitude and the temperature. Obviously that's clearly affected their race pace today and the top speed. I think I was talking to my friend James about it. Had DRS open passing Valtteri Bottas during double yellows. Okay, so that could promote Kimi Raikkonen onto the podium if he gets punished there. So I suppose maybe maybe Sainz might want that so he can celebrate his first podium when he properly gets it. I suppose McLaren still want the podium from that position, because from there, for me, this secures 6th in the place for Toro Rosso in the Constructors' Championship. But am I right? Daniel Ricciardo finishing P7 with Pierre Gasly. Does anyone have a live? Does anyone know what the constructors table is? Have Toro Rosso closed in on Renault for P5 in the constructors going into Abu Dhabi? Sorry. God, Kimi Räikkönen, I'm thinking, but Alfa Romeo would be first podium in 50 years. That would be absolutely insane. Yeah, incredible. Yeah, you know what? Jog on. Carlos Sainz, really like you. Fantastic season. I want Alfa Romeo to get this podium. Brilliant. Get Kimi on the podium. Who doesn't want Kimi Räikkönen on the podium? Probably not Kimi Räikkönen fans. I would love Kimi to be on the podium. If you watch our F1 Fantasy Weekly, that would definitely be the Kimi moment of the week if Kimi Räikkönen somehow secures a podium. Trying to think of anything else. Haas. Anyone impressed with Haas? I thought throughout the race is 10 points between Toro Rosso and Renault. Okay, that would be difficult to close. They would have to have a pretty impressive race from there as well. But obviously they've had a 1 point with Daniel Kvyat and 18 points. So 19 points in total today. And Daniel Ricciardo, what does he get in 7th? 1, 2, 3, 4 points shouldn't he get in 7? So yeah, that was a bit. Tyre wear screwed Haas again. Yeah, I'd agree with that. But I still think that's impressive. Did anything happen to Grosjean on the second safety car? Because I think he was running, or was it the first safety car? He was running in P6 and suddenly dropped back a lot. Hamilton is 7th. Okay, that's confirmed. It's Carlos Sainz is still in the steward's room. There, Sergio Perez getting into the points, probably quite good for race point. Lando Norris wasn't a race that really developed into anything, but yeah, Alpha's really impressive if they've got that strategy right. They actually showed pretty good race pace this weekend, and Pierre Gasly has had an absolutely superb weekend. So yeah, absolutely incredible from him. Lewis, guys, in the comments, any thoughts on potentially Lewis Hamilton easing off on the last straight for Pierre Gasly? I don't know if it was just the way that Pierre, I hope he doesn't admit it to take it away, but it just seemed that Hamilton was easing off from that straight. Both Ferrari drivers have been called to the steward's room. Is that? Oh, well, obviously, that's for the instant, I assume. Are they going to get blamed for there? Nico Hulkenberg. Did anything happen to Nico Hulkenberg finishing in P15? That's not a great result for him. From there, George Russell just so close, but yet so far from the points again. What do you make on? I think that engine failure was a bit of a saving grace for Valtteri Bottas in the race, because not getting past Charles Leclerc on tyres. I know the Ferrari has that straight line advantage, but every lap he was doing the same defensive move, and was Mark just saying Hulkenberg was just disappointing again. He was making that same defensive move, everything, and Bottas just couldn't find a way through. So his engine failure, I think, actually saved Valtteri Bottas a bit there from a bit of embarrassment of not a great race for him, because that was compromising his race and playing into Albon's hands. Albon drove a very solid race, and very unlucky to miss out on that opportunity. Was it naivety opening up a space to Lewis Hamilton? Obviously, Lewis Hamilton having secured Mercedes Constructors Championship and Driver Championship last week, a couple of weeks back in Austin, he was clearly just racing for the hell of it on it. Little bit, obviously, he took full responsibility for the incident, got the 5-second penalty. Bit of naivety from Albon opening up a gap there. Mark showing his full feelings on there. Daily Sale, hey, nice stream. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Hope you enjoyed the race. What did you think of the race? It was, I'm still coming down. I'm mental from that. But easily for me, the best race beats Hockenheim for the best race of the season so far for me. Obviously, really loved it. Oh, Norwich Duck, shut up. Cheers. Ferrari need to find a new driver instead of Vettel, younger one. Interesting. So I presume not a Vettel fan, or thinking that Vettel's past it, or thinking Vettel's at fault for that incident there. Ugar 118. But yeah, I think the race was another great thing to see, was Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton fighting at the top again. Really just kind of hope that, yeah, we're going to get more of that next year. I really hope Red Bull give Max Verstappen a car from the start of next season, because that would be absolutely fantastic. Oh, but it would depend on how much. Obviously, Ashley's put in the question there. Good news for me, I've replayed last place in the Beyond the Grandstands bingo. Sainz gets a penalty. Does that mean George Russell gets a point? I don't know. I suppose it would depend on how severe the penalty we're looking at for Carlos Sainz. Yeah, it'd be, I mean, how fantastic would that be if that would sum up everything. If George Russell manages a point, so that every driver in the Drivers' Championship this year has scored a point. How did Bottas crash or got DNF? Bottas had an engine failure. He didn't crash in the race. He was following close to Charles Leclerc, and I think it went there. Zayden Shan, there's a shout out for you. Cheers for watching, man. Yeah, crazy guys. Any questions? Russell to get 10th in Abu Dhabi. It would be impressive. That would be for sure. No problem at all. LX Jick, is that, or just Lick? I'll go for that. From terms of, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, George Russell in P10. Can he get a point? Can we get George Russell a point in the Williams before the end of the season? If anything, consolation this year for George Russell, he's going to get, sorry, runny nose there, being cold at Silverstone. Can he get, if any consolation he's going to beat Robert Kubica in an absolute whitewash. And obviously Alonso did that last year to Stoffel van Dorn. That Spec 3 Merc engine might be the most unreliable on the grid. I think that's a fair point. Very good. Very good point there, Mark, because obviously Sergio Perez has had a lot of problems with it, hasn't he? Bottas has gone there. Has Hamilton had any issues with it? I don't think Hamilton's had any engine problems throughout the season on that one. Yeah, but yeah, that Spec 3, which was really funny actually, because Hamilton was speaking about it after the summer break, wasn't he? And saying that it wasn't a pace upgrade, it was a reliability upgrade on the Spec 3 engine for Mercedes, yet they've had their most reliability issues with that Merc engine since the second half of the season. So yeah, that's crazy. Leclerc from Scott Dorrow, Leclerc needs one more year with Vettel, needs to soundly beat him next year without some of the mistakes Leclerc's made. I'd agree with that point. I think Vettel still has a lot to offer Ferrari. Throughout his career, he's shown a brash temperament. Maybe it was a bit today, going side by side. I think he drifted in towards Leclerc. A lot of the times they can get away with it in terms of bumping tyres, but obviously both retiring from the race didn't look great. And Vettel, after that incident, was standing a long time off the track, just camera focused on him. He was just seemed very deep in thought. So yeah, it wasn't. I don't know if he was then concerning that he was to blame for the incident. But I think Charles Leclerc has had an absolutely fantastic first season in the Ferrari to push on. Gasly gets 10th with Red Bull, second with Toro Rosso. Logic non-existent. Completely agree, Davis now. But I think me and Ashley have spoken about it. We did a video just before Spa in terms of how the Red Bull suits Alexander Albon's driving style a lot more, and Toro Rosso suits Pierre Gasly's driving style a lot more. And you can just tell since he's been back in that Toro Rosso, he's been so happy back in that car. Fantastic, strong performances. And this actually might get him 7th in the Drivers' Championship as well, because obviously if Carlos Sainz gets that penalty, that drops him down. And yeah, 18 points in the Drivers' Championship, absolutely massive for Gasly. Gasly might finish ahead of Albon. That's very true, actually. Yeah, yeah, that's crazy to think. If Gasly holds on to it, that would be crazy. The joke continues of Sainz doing amazing things and not getting shown on TV. This time it's a podium. Yeah, I mean Carlos Sainz. I mean, it would sum up Carlos Sainz' season, wouldn't it? If Carlos Sainz secures that third place podium, McLaren's first since 2014, and he doesn't get shown on TV being on the podium, considering most of his great races this year haven't been seen on TV. He did get shown for like 3 seconds. Exactly. That is classic Carlos Sainz. Today, with Vettel attempting to push Leclerc over, however, Charles Leclerc was totally in the right to hold his ground. Seb's error. Yeah, I can agree with that. I thought it was, when watching it, it was a racing incident, but I can understand both drivers being frustrated by it. Basically, though, well, Vettel has a history with colliding with teammates back in his Red Bull days. But at the last race, securing a points finish, I suppose it's just pride of position in the Drivers' Championship. Vettel desperate to probably finish ahead of Charles Leclerc in the championship. That was probably what you were thinking in terms of getting a points advantage over there. And obviously, Leclerc finishing from P14. Vettel wouldn't have wanted to have finished behind him. So they were fighting on track. And yeah, Albon needs to beat Gasly by 11 points to overtake him in the championship. I mean, Gasly would have to finish outside the points to do that. And in Gasly's current form, I think Gasly looks set to probably get P6 in the championship, Daily Snarl. Thanks for finding out the points on that one. Willing to bet Leclerc will have the #1 Ferrari next year. Potentially, his performances against a 4 times world champion, that he has had a car that suited him for the majority of the season, but a season learning. Charles Leclerc is a fantastic talent. I'm really excited to see how his career is going to kick on and develop from here. Yeah, I wouldn't bet against him being the #1 either next year. Actually, Albon needs 12, as Gasly has a higher finish this season. Yes, obviously, yeah, because Gasly hasn't there. Signs 3, do you think it? That was from Eric T. I'm not sure. I've been told that the incident was Carlos Sainz having his DRS open in the yellow flag area where Bottas was. For me, that sort of thing, I think the stewards are pretty harsh on. That seems pretty set. So I would probably expect Sainz to receive a penalty and not get his first podium position. So I'd expect Alfa Romeo to get their first podium in 50 years and Kimi Raikkonen to be promoted onto the podium. I agree, Mark. I think on these sort of things, it does seem black and white. But then again, it is the stewards this year, and they have been a bit unpredictable in their decisions, I think is probably the safe bet to say. Any more questions from you guys in the comments? Your race reaction from that? Not many things talking about Max in terms of do we think it was a fantastic race from Max? Yeah, very sorry for your English. No problem at all, Eric. Thank you for getting involved in the comments. I perfectly understood it. No problem at all. Your Spanish. Well, your English is better than my Spanish, so we'll have it happy on that front. It all depends if he closed it in enough time leading up to it. Yeah, I imagine that's probably why it's taking so long, and he's still in the stewards' room in terms of that review. But yeah, Max Verstappen for me, from qualifying yesterday to the race today, I think he's had an absolutely fantastic. Actually, when me and Ashley did our podium predictions video, we did say that we think Max Verstappen might win this race because he's going to be desperate to win this race. Obviously, after the Ocon incident last year, where he probably would have won the race last year. Yeah, no luck gaming TV, crazy race, absolutely crazy race. But yeah, he was so frustrated after not getting that victory last year. He was so determined, and brilliant race by Max Verstappen. That is the Max Verstappen we saw in the first half of the season, where he is a brilliant racer. He's mature, fantastic overtaking moves, great lap times he was putting in, great tyre management as well, great race pace, really good. Who did get driver of the day? I didn't see in the end someone saying driver of the day Sainz or Gasly deserved it, or didn't deserve driver of the day Sainz. Was that Mark? So was he? Did Sainz get driver of the day? Was that from coming from 20? Yeah, Sainz might get a penalty for having Tim Nobben for having his DRS open while passing a yellow flag. Verstappen got it. Well, I can't argue with Verstappen getting driver of the day. Usually, I think he's driven a fantastic race, so I'm not going to begrudge this driver of the day for Max Verstappen. In other instances, I might, but not this one. I think he had a fantastic race. But Pierre Gasly probably is deserving of it for getting that P2 in a Toro Rosso. Again, the second best ever result for a Toro Rosso in the history. And he's very close with Toro Rosso, so I think a fantastic there. That one should be clear decision. Ashley on the wing. No. It wasn't at the restart, Tim. It was the yellow flag period during Bottas. Obviously, he parked his car. There was a yellow flag period before the safety car came out. From there, the entire podium deserves driver of the day. You know what, Scott? You're probably bang on there. For whoever gets that third place, it is a fantastic drive. If Sainz doesn't get it, it's unlucky because it's an infringement. That he's had a fantastic race to put his car in that position. Fantastic there. Yeah, TV never shows things like that. Yeah, correct. And that's why obviously it's been come out from after the race. Exactly, it is curse of the former Red Bull drivers. And like I said, Daniel Kvyat, I do feel for him. He has been, so you can tell, so frustrated in the summer that he got frustrated even from Albon's first race in a Red Bull, when he was like going, I don't get why everybody's making a big deal over his race. I kept him behind for a lot of the time, and I'm in a Toro Rosso, and so yeah, that wasn't, he's been bitter about it. He's gone for, we've seen return of the torpedo almost with incidents, and now he can't even have Toro Rosso's second ever result in that race in Hockenheim. He can't even have Toro Rosso's best result of the season. Pierre Gasly now has that. It is a real kick in the teeth for Daniel Kvyat. He really is, not having a great second half of the season for him, and he certainly will be looking for options there. So yeah, Raikkonen will be promoted to P3 if Sainz is punished. Sainz is out the shot. He does not look happy avoiding the cameras. So yeah, that's from Mark. So looks like, yes, Sainz is going to not get that podium, and Kimi Raikkonen is going to be P3. But yeah, crazy race. What do you think of Haas keeping Grosjean and Magnussen? For me, it's a sensible choice. Magnussen and Grosjean both know the team. I know a lot of people wanted Nico Hulkenberg to have that seat, but Haas is a really different team compared to a lot of F1 teams because of how they operate, in terms of they don't have a wind tunnel, they don't build their own car. Like Dallara makes their chassis and they buy a lot of parts. Like obviously they have a Ferrari engine. I think they have a lot of Ferrari aerodynamic parts as well that they put on the car. That's difficult for a driver to go, and they're changing a lot of things next year in 2020. So to keep Grosjean, I think it's a smart move from there. Grosjean's performed, I think, pretty well since being announced. As it was Singapore, wasn't he, that he was announced as his second driver. So yeah, I think it's a solid lineup to keep them going forward for next year. 2021, I imagine, is when they will change things with the rules. I'd expect, if that he has another poor season, Roman Grosjean to be dropped. Kevin Magnussen seems like the guy for me that they are building the team around. And again, Kevin Magnussen's it's a race that could have been for him. His race massively compromised with that incident with Daniel Ricciardo in the first few laps of the race. I hope that answers your question, the Daily Snail. Hulk was asking too much and he's too much of a risk. Yep. Mark, I think we both know our thoughts on the Hulkenberg situation there. Yeah, Hulkenberg for me hasn't done enough really this year to kind of push on and kick on in the year. And yeah, 15th is a disappointing result in a race that he does well in, and especially as Daniel Ricciardo didn't. Yeah, I mean, Mark said it was just a disappointing race. Did he just come out poorly from the safety cars? Was he not able to pit from there? Because 15th to 7th with Daniel Ricciardo isn't really a great position. I a lot explain that a little bit further. Is that Grosjean's performance in general over the years, or Grosjean's performance this year? Because Grosjean's performance this year, considering how bad that car's been, I don't actually think has been bad. A lot of his retirements have been mechanical issues, and obviously he's got 3 times he's got the Haas into Q3 in the second half of the season. Generally, fair enough. I can understand that. I think Grosjean's a bit harshly treated. Yeah, I think Grosjean last year, 2018 in Spain, that was his last big crash incident for me. Obviously, 2018 wasn't a great year for him. But 2019, I think he's done enough, and he's proved he's in his emotions more. And the things coming out of Haas that are important for Roman Grosjean was the fact that he was really key in getting the development of the car right. And when things were going wrong with the car, Roman Grosjean played a really key development in sorting out those issues, and he's been really helpful for the team in that aspect. And I think that's really played a major part in him staying, as well as rather than the driving. Scott saying K-Mag needs to learn pace his race, too many tangles with other drivers, needs to learn not to contest everything. Yeah, K-Mag's a very hard fighting driver, isn't he? He's elbows out driving, and very much so on that. He gets himself in too many compromised positions, but in fairness to K-Mag today, he allowed Ricciardo enough space there, but it was Ricciardo locking up that forced him in. So K-Mag, no real fault in there, but yeah, in previous instance, 100% K-Mag probably needs to improve his racecraft a little bit in that aspect. McLaren have mathematically secured P4 in the standings. Fantastic for McLaren. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, you think from where they've come last year, a lot of development went on from Alonso and Stoffel Van Dorn for this year, but Sainz and Norris have been nothing short of exceptional this year. And considering how many technical problems McLaren have had throughout the season as well, really impressive for them securing P4 in the championship. Grosjean has podiums and can keep calm. Just that continuing argument between Grosjean and Hulk there. It's just been announced that there were actually a few drivers with the DRS open under yellow, so maybe a few penalties to come. Excellent. If you can say who's involved in that, that would be great. Obviously, I'll try and keep up to date with anything on the F1 there. Hope you guys, any other questions in the live stream from the race or general thoughts from there? Because obviously we are, obviously got to go. Well done on the race reaction. Keep up the good work. Cheers, Scott. Really appreciate that. Hopefully 1,000 subs in 2020. We'd really like that. But thanks for getting involved in the comments. Really appreciate taking the time there. Thanks for getting involved in that race live reaction. What a race. Glad you enjoyed it. And glad they haven't said names yet. Eric T, I'm wishing that the next year McLaren can fight for a podium in the first race. I think 2020, Eric, is probably still, I'm guessing you're a Carlos Sainz fan being from Spain, maybe a Fernando Alonso fan as well. I think 2020 may be a race a year too early, but in 2021, with going back to that Mercedes engine, they could be fighting for podiums in 2021. That's for sure. But I think next year from race one, it may be a little bit difficult for McLaren to contest for podiums. And yeah, especially if Carlos Sainz hasn't secured this one. But yeah, any other thoughts from the race or in general, guys watching? Any questions for us? Obviously, Ashley's in the comments as well. He's watching all the news coming in and updating as we go on there. Cheers, Eric. Appreciate that support. Thank you for getting involved in your comments. Nice for you to be involved. First time I've seen you in here, so cheers for that. How long have you been a Ferrari F1 fan? Since 2007 here. So I'm wearing the Ferrari top. So if I was to lean to a team, it probably would be Ferrari. I would say that in general, I kind of just hope for good racing. But yeah, probably I'm an Arsenal fan as well. So I remember growing up as a kid, Michael Schumacher in his Ferraris and red, and so red naturally translated for that. So probably 2004. I've leaned it there. Fernando Alonso is my favorite driver, so I tended to follow him a bit more at Ferrari. Well, a bit there as well. 6 drivers under investigation. Sorry, I've just seen that and they got 6. That's mental. Jesus, I mean, with Sainz not looking great, I presume that's 6 drivers who are going to be under penalty. So I have no idea what the podium, who's going to claim that last podium spot if 6 drivers under consideration. Because I would assume, in terms of race order, that Kimi Raikkonen and Giovinazzi would at least be in that. I know, Ferrari and Arsenal fan. What am I like, Daily Snell? I suppose you got to support something. But yes, if you watch our videos regularly, obviously I'm wearing Ferrari today, but I think bar Red Bull, Renault, and Racing Point, we pretty much have all the team gears. I would say yes, Ferrari. If I was going to, if you pushed me into a corner and said support a team, it would be then. Oh really? Oh, that's cool, Dave. So for net, if you push me into a corner, I would say Ferrari. But generally, as a whole, I would describe myself as an F1 fan. As cheesy or as cliche as that sounds. I think we kind of almost. I mean, knowing Steward's decisions, this could take absolutely forever for them to make a decision. But we'll try and stay live and react to it if those 6 drivers, and try and figure out who is actually going to be 3rd place in the grid. Yeah, I definitely agree with that one at the Daily Snail. Very painful indeed. Ferrari could be the fastest team in 2021, like Merck in 2014. Well, Ferrari have a fast car now. I think if Ferrari have got a good chance, it's going to be next year to beat Mercedes if they can get everything right. But the thing is, when it comes to a race, they may have a very quick car, but their race car isn't as good as Mercedes, and also their strategy. Ferrari themselves, whether it be drivers clashing, poor pit stops, clashing in the driver mistakes, like I said, poor strategies would be great. It will be Kimi in 3rd place. Kimi Raikkonen, come on, Kimi. Will he get a 3rd place? I would love that. McLaren look very unhappy. To me, that is saying that Carlos Sainz isn't going to get the podium. Alfa Romeo, 1st podium in 50 years. God, that would be brilliant. It does indeed. That is now, it does make it a lot worse with what Unai Emery is doing there. But we are F1 channel. We won't talk about Arsenal there. And from there, that is far too depressing to talk about from there. I think Ferrari has the fastest car now, but I'd agree with that. Like I was saying, from there, Ferrari seem to be that kind of position that, yeah, they just kind of managed to find a way to muck up good positions in the race. I mean, the only surprise is that they were actually able to secure a 1-2 in Singapore. But obviously that didn't come with the controversy in itself. Yeah. Mark, I reckon that is a very good call. I literally asked them where. Cool. Well, man, that is going die hard, and that is a painful time for you at the moment. I feel sorry for you suffering with that aspect there. Any other kind of questions or thoughts in there in the chat about the race? Any thoughts on Pierre Gasly's race? I think we've covered most of it. Absolutely fantastic there. Should we talk a bit more about Alfa Romeo? So we are presuming that Alfa Romeo, who do we know 6 drivers are? I'm not sure. I haven't found anything that said that yet. It's just said 6 drivers are on investigation. I'm not sure if Sainz is included in that. But Alfa Romeo, on the verge of their first podium in 50 years. Historic team, obviously. Juan Manuel Fangio, one of the all-time greats in F1, won the first Drivers' Championship in F1, well, in the F1 series as we currently know it, secured it in an Alfa Romeo. That would be a great story for me. And for those of you who watch the channel, we are a fan of Kimi Raikkonen. So for Kimi Raikkonen to get a podium at 40, oh, wow, that would be brilliant. I mean, we thought his last race win in Austin last year would be Kimi Raikkonen's. Actually, he might have secured a podium. I think he got 3rd last year in Brazil, actually. So, yeah, it would be great for him to manage to get that. I know, Daily Snell, that is a crazy coincidence there. But, yeah, Alfa Romeo getting there. Giovinazzi, again, superb, showing he deserves, for me, thoughts on, obviously, Giovinazzi, it was it this week? No, it was the previous week he was announced as securing his seat for Alfa Romeo, wasn't it? Yeah. Would Kimi be the oldest man in modern F1? I think yes. Although I'm not sure how old Michael Schumacher was when he got his yeah, I was going to say Michael Schumacher must have that from there. In overall F1, obviously Fangio was in his 40s when he was winning Grand Prix. So for me, he surely would be the oldest guy for doing it. But for modern F1, I would assume that it is Michael Schumacher. I'm convinced he got a Ogzes Sarah Day. Sorry, I haven't said that right. I'm going to call you Ogaz. Is that cool? Hi, hi to you too. Thanks for joining in the chat. I'm pretty sure Schumacher was 41. Was it in Monaco that he got that podium? Am I making that up? I know he got his last pole position in Monaco. I'm not sure if he was able to secure any podium there. But yeah, I think Michael Schumacher is the one oldest. But still a fantastic achievement for Kimi Raikkonen, now 40 years of age, to get a podium in an Alfa Romeo. And I think we were saying it, Haas, Alfa, Williams, written off. They're all thinking about 2020, but Alfa have shown good pace. Obviously, Kimi Raikkonen getting it into Q3 in qualifying. Yeah, if he gets the podium, superb there. 2012, wasn't it? So, yeah, 41. Yeah, I'd agree with that because, yeah, he made the comeback. Was it in 2011? He drove for Mercedes, Schumacher. He wasn't in it from the... No, he was in it from the start in 2010, wasn't he? And then Hamilton... He retired in 2012 again, and Hamilton came in 2013, didn't he? But yeah, guys, any thoughts in the comments on Alfa Romeo potentially securing their first podium in 50 years? Excited? Thoughts on that in terms of that? Any more thoughts from the race? What are weird thoughts on? Was it nice? Although Hamilton got punished for the incident, was it nice to see Hamilton actually fighting and competing for places and battling on track? Although he got the penalty, and obviously I feel sorry for Albon missing out. Poor Albon missing out on his first podium. But was it great kind of seeing Lewis Hamilton compete, fighting on track again? For race position in a Merc that wasn't dominating. I think if all tracks could be at altitude and Merc had that level of performance, I think we'd have a pretty good 2020 season, if I'm being honest with you. But I still probably predicting who would bet against Mercedes being better than well, being the top again in 2020 before the regulations happen in 2021. But yeah, guys, any further questions? If there's not any further questions, we'll probably go, and the chat seems to have calmed down a little bit there. We'll probably round off the live stream from there. We've been going for a good nose for an hour. I don't know if we'll get the FIA decision today, because FIA take forever to sort out anything in these Steward things. Signs, woohoo! Oh no, Petrolhead, do you know that he's under investigation from the stewards? I'm presuming that's you thinking that he's going to get third place on it, Petrolhead. And God knows if SI, for all we know, they'll just make the drivers draw straws to see who gets a penalty. Probably a fair one. Yeah, I'm sorry, Petrolhead. He was under investigation for having his DRS open under yellow flag, and that seems a pretty kind of cut and dry thing. That's the only thing we're kind of waiting for. So as it provisionally stands, I believe the provisional race result, without the further penalties to those 6 ones, rounding off here, would be Max Verstappen 1, Pierre Gasly 2, Carlos Sainz 3 provisionally, 4 would be Kimi Raikkonen, 5 Giovinazzi, 6 Ricciardo, 7. Yeah, that would be Raikkonen P3 petrol head if Carlos Sainz is disqualified. No, it surely can't be Gasly, Verstappen, and Sainz. Alfa Romeo 1-2. Can you imagine? How long does it take them? Ed Butler, your guess is as good as mine for guessing how long this is going to take. Because was it 3 hours in Austria it took for them to decide on Verstappen's overtake being clean on Charles Leclerc there to give him the race win there in Austria? So who knows? We could be going long into the night for that decision to come up. But yeah, provisionally as it stands, those ones. Then Hamilton in P7. Race result there. Sorry, I'll try and get that. Breaking news: Sainz set for maiden podium. That was a bit poor. Ed Butler 4, I think. 4 hours is that how it's going to take? Yeah, you're probably not wrong there. At this rate, Lewis Hamilton will have his podium back. No. He won't, Ashley, because it has already been confirmed that Alfa Romeo drivers aren't being investigated. So if Sainz does get penalised, Kimi Raikkonen will secure that 3rd place. Daily Snow, about 78 millenniums for them to get it right. Yeah, that's probably a fair shout. Is that jacket made of paper mache as well? No, this is official Ferrari gear. Come on. I'm sure it is high quality. It's actually quite a nice jacket, actually. I got it when I was recently in Vegas. Funnily enough, yeah, not doing that. There was a Puma outlet store and, yeah, decided to get that. It was just a little touch. Ed Butler, massive McLaren fan, so you're praying. I mean, yeah, it would be a huge achievement for McLaren to secure their first podium since 2014. It was Jenson Button and Kevin Magnussen, I believe, who secured that podium back in 2014. Then they find out that the Alfa Romeo has been using traction control again and get a 30-second penalty. Oh God, can you imagine? I mean, this race is the race that keeps giving. I mean, when did the race end? Probably about 2 hours ago, and we are still running on there. Oh, cheers, Ed. Appreciate that. Really appreciate you subscribing to the channel. Hope you enjoy our content that we do here. We typically tend to do our live reactions after the race here and put out a load of other content because, yeah, we just love F1. Like you guys clearly love F1 as well. Does it give you bad advice and screw your plans up? We do our channel Beyond the Grandstand. Yeah, you guys, Sage in the comments is actually Mark from Beyond the Grandstand. Very funny, I'd say, comedy F1 channel. Anything goes on there. And if you are a fan of Cards Against Humanity, you might want to check out their Cards Against Liberty game. Very off the wall, kind of crazy there. So I'll give you a shout out there for Mark and Beyond the Grandstand. my does my jacket give me bad advice and screw your plans up? Probably, probably it does. Yes, absolutely mental. Yeah, agree with Ed. This is great. You know what you're talking about. Cheers, Tom. Tom, sorry, Tim. Really appreciate that. Glad you've enjoyed the live stream. Really appreciated talking to you guys and fans in here. This has been our longest one today. I think longest one has been about 30 minutes, but you guys have been going crazy in the comments. So yeah, really appreciate kind of having you guys in and doing the live stream. So possibility of an Alpha 1-2 and Ricardo P3. I mean, anything goes really. Petrolhead Gaming, literally no idea. Sorry, so yeah, I said Tom. Sorry, Tim. I apologise. Got your name wrong there. Hold my hands up. Mistake there. The jacket manipulates your brain during the night. Oh God! All right, I'm wearing a Ferrari jacket. I'm sorry. God, I wish I wore my 2005 Renault jacket today instead. I explained this, Ed. If I was pushed into a corner, I would say Ferrari fan, but as a cheesy cliche goes, I would say I'm more a fan of F1. I just love good races. I love the drivers on the thing. Oh, Tim, don't unsubscribe. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's actually a Mercedes jacket. Yeah, you see, it's the dominance was there. But exactly, it's disguised. Actually, it's Mercedes playing down their chances and saying that they're just a Ferrari mid-table team. Unbelievable, but yes, crazy there. Yeah, guys, any more thoughts from the race? I know we are stalling, but by the time we might actually finish this, we might actually realize what is actually going on with the 6 people from there. 2 Ferrari today. What was Vettel doing? Yeah, we discussed that a little bit earlier on, Ed. Yeah, look, they're just fighting because they are desperate for number 1 status in that team. They are desperate to kind of Dutch greetings from Brazil. Thank you, Sonny Loddy. Appreciate you jumping in. Don't worry, obviously, once this has ended, you can watch the full live stream and catch up with everything from what we've been discussing late in there. But yeah, going back to you, Ed, 2 Ferraris today. I think 2 very competitive drivers. Yeah, not great for them. Obviously, Vettel does have a history of clashing with teammates. And yeah, it doesn't look great for him. And those camera angles of him looking rather distraught after crashing out wasn't great there. Certainly there. Cool, Daily Snail. Appreciate you subscribing on another account as well. We have got to stick together. At least it's not an Alonso jacket. Then it would make you go to a dying team as your previous gets better. Yeah, that's very true. Oh, Alonso, I will be making a video soon actually of careers that failed to achieve. So yeah, Ferrari assassinating Mercedes, fair point. Comments have been great there, guys. I'll leave it as a last round. Yeah, exactly. FIA should give 10-second time penalties. Let's get George Russell a point. So every driver has got a point this season, and George Russell has been fantastic in that Williams this year. It's so difficult to compare his performance because the Williams has been so uncompetitive. I would love him to get a point because it was so cruel. Because actually, I don't know if you guys know from watching, when Lance Stroll made the call onto slicks in Hockenheim, which obviously got him a P4 in the race, George Russell actually wanted to make the same call, but Williams turned down the decision. So we don't know where George Russell might have finished in Hockenheim, and yeah, might have got points. It would be a shame for him to not get it. Williams are a classic F1 team. It's so sad to see them falling behind. Hopefully next year they can be more competitive in that midfield and competing for points. But yeah, last round, guys. For anyone still watching, if you've got any questions that you want to ask, happy to answer there. If not, I will round off the stream. Guys, thank you so much for kind of being in there. Hockenheim was a great race. Yeah, Hockenheim. Yes, I presume that's autocorrect there, Ed Butler. Hockenheim was a great race. That was a previous favourite race up until then, but Brazil certainly has been my favourite race of the season. Let's move the last race, Indy, and give George the Bridgestones and everyone else Michelin. Yeah, Mark, let's do it. Let's get everyone banned from competing because the Michelin tyres can't hold up to, that was 2005, wasn't it? Where you had a grid of 7 drivers on the grid because all the Michelin drivers couldn't race. Russell to win Abu Dhabi. Yeah, there you go. Russell to win Abu Dhabi. Alonso or Hamilton. Although I'm an Alonso fan, I have to say Lewis Hamilton is the better driver. Lewis Hamilton, for me, is in the top 2 drivers of all time. I think what Lewis Hamilton, he's earned the right to be in that big TV. Sorry, I've just seen Tim's comments and gone from there. In that drive, he's been a fantastic driver. I'm excited. I mean, Lewis Hamilton's career is not over. I'm really excited to see how his career ends. It goes from that. Schumacher or Senna, you're killing me, the Daily Snail. That's a controversial question there. In Brazil, now Ed Butler's gone Alonso. Fair enough from there. I'm an Alonso fan. I think a lot of his problem was off the track and making poor decisions in the team he chose. He always managed to get to the wrong team at the wrong time, and he should really be a much more world champion than his 2 he's had, but poor decisions got that. On Dutch TV, the commentator said some of the Williams crew had to share rooms to save money. I mean, yeah, that is really sad to hear, Tim. Oh, God. Yeah, that is gutting. I know money is their problem, and it's probably why Nicholas Latifi is going to get that Williams seat, because he is a driver who comes in there. In answer, Daily Sale, Schumacher or Senna, I'm going to go Schumacher, because as the sport develops in modern F1, the cars and naturally the drivers, I think, get better. So I'm going to go. I love Alonso, petrol head. So it was a tough one. Alonso as a driver, I think, is absolutely incredible. He doesn't have the championships that his talent warrants from there. But sorry, I keep going. Daily Snail, Schumacher or Senna? Senna, I obviously am too young to remember Senna. Senna died when I was 1 year old, so I've never seen Senna drive live. He's had some fantastic races, a 3-time world champion. And I was actually at the Silverstone tour today. I was speaking to an old mechanic who's a massive F1 fan, and he was saying Senna was just the best. Schumacher, brilliant driver, absolutely incredible, but Senna was just something for the romantic. I have to go Schumacher. I think what he did in getting Ferrari back to the top and getting that Ferrari dominance, for me, it's Schumacher. But Senna, absolutely incredible driver. And Ashley is Senna over Schumacher there. Obviously, Ashley, for you guys new to our channel, me and Ashley usually co-host and stuff. But in live streams, Ashley gets involved in the comments because I can't see everything because we're live streaming, and we go from there. Mark, Prost was better than Senna. Get him out. There, he said it. Oh, God, you're going to upset people, Mark. Do you think Hamilton will break Schumacher's record of world title? Good question. Next year is dependent. If Hamilton wins next year, yes, I think he will. If Hamilton doesn't win next year, the World Drivers' Championship, no, because I think Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc will become too good too quickly. Oh God, Mark, I'm going to leave you out of that. You keep going with Prost versus Senna. Don't cause an argument. Yeah. How do you know who got penalties? We don't yet. We are just waiting for the FIA. I presume on the F1 app it will come up. Ashley's starting to keep. Ashley's getting online updates on there. I presume probably Formula One. I'm not sure where Ashley's getting his updates. But yes, guys, any other questions? We added in a greatest of all time. Obviously, Lewis Hamilton, 6th Drivers' World Championships this year. Superb effort from him. Only the 2nd driver in the history of sport to do that. Incredible. Petrol head gunning for an Alpha 1-2. Ed obviously is a big McLaren fan. You are gunning for that McLaren podium. I understand there. But yes, guys, comments, you're going crazy there. Love that. And from there, but if there's no more questions on the race, I think I'm going to get some food. I'm hungry. I'm trying to calm down after that amazing Brazil Grand Prix. Gradually being announced by the FIA. Has there been any agreed? Eddie Riggs signs on podium. Is that confirmed, Eddie? Okay, Daily Smell. One more question. Okay, one more question. Happy to go with it because this has been good. This has been great fun, guys. Loved interacting with you guys. Eddie, it's confirmed. Okay, awesome. Will Renault become a top team? Good question. They need to. 2021 with the budget cap could help them, but they do not. I was discussing it with a friend earlier. Out of the works teams, like Mercedes and Ferrari, when they're trying to win stuff, they're like, money's no object. They're like, throw money at it. We'll just do with it. Renault are like, how can we save money? I think Renault have got a fantastic driver lineup in Ocon and Ricciardo. Their engine is very good if they can get it reliable. And their aero package, who did they just get? Ex-McLaren and Ferrari technical guy who's going to help with their aerodynamic package massively. In answer to your question, yes. Will I think they will? Probably not, because I don't think Cyril is a great team principal. How long will this live stream be? There was no kind of note on how long this would be, the Daily Snarl. I think we were going until we were going to end this until the 6th of Bean. But Carlos Sainz has been confirmed. So if Carlos Sainz is confirmed, I would expect those other 6 drivers under investigation would not be wiped, which means that McLaren have secured their first podium since 2014 with Kevin Magnussen and Jenson Button. Wow. Brilliant. Cheers, Eddie, for sorting that on. All right. Is Eddie right, guys? He's looking on Twitter from that. He's not being cleared. I'm staring at the FIA site right now. Okay. It's gradually been announced. Will Binotto get sacked? No. I think Binotto actually has done a very good job because Leclerc's a very good driver and Vettel is a very good driver. He's a 4-time world champion. He has to be. Sainz has just been confirmed as podium. Wow. Absolutely amazing for him. And Sainz, the ghost in TV races, when he gets coverage for about 2 seconds during a race, usually at the start of the race, has ghosted a podium. McLaren's first podium since 2014. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Happy for you, Ed, as a massive McLaren fan. Brilliant from there. Why Alonso always win? From Debsky there. I think Alonso always wins because he's a very good driver, but obviously he chose very bad teams that didn't allow him to do it. I mean, in the 3rd quickest car in 2010 and 2012, to even be in a sniff of the championship against that Ferrari, that was very impressive. Yeah, cheers for that, Eddie, for sorting that out. Appreciate you getting that. He is the best. That's why. Is that Carlos Sainz? Taking you're a big Carlos Sainz fan there. A win for Renault next year or bust, in my opinion. I don't know if a win, but I think they at least need to be competitive with the top 3 to be willing to keep pumping a load of money down this bottomless hole that is F1. Although it doesn't seem... All right, Ed. Hey, calm down about Renault. Calm it down. I think with Renault, they have to at least be more competitive next year. And I think they will see 2021. I think a lot of teams who are debating maybe dropping out, they will at least give 2021 a go, see if the regulations work, make things better. If things aren't, then I think you could see some introductions of new teams and maybe old teams dropping out. Is Kubica a total trash? No, Kubica is an absolutely fantastic, amazing driver who could have challenged for world championships, bar his rally crash that he had in 2011. But his, as he likes to call it, his his limitation stops him from being the driver we know. And obviously, he spent a lot of time F1. F1 cars have developed so much in that time. Thing. Kimi Raikkonen for me is a great driver who hasn't achieved his potential in F1. Also a little bit unlucky in his early days with reliability with McLaren. But yeah, both I think are very good drivers. To be honest, Alonso destroyed teams. I don't think he did. I think he had the unfortunate coincidence that teams were on the downhill as they go. Binotto is a great manager, but a great engineer. I think it's been a tough year, but I think you've seen it with Christian Horner, you've seen it with Toto Wolff, with Rosberg and Hamilton, obviously Vettel and Webber, and obviously back with Ron Dennis trying to manage Senna and Prost back in the late 80s. When you have two top drivers, which Leclerc and Vettel are, it is incredibly hard to manage. And I think he's done a fairly good job about doing that. I'm trying to keep them. Don't think they'll be good next season. 2020 looks good with the wage block. Yes, it does. Obviously, the driver salaries and top three managements aren't included in that. So that could still prove a vital thing. How many tables did Toto break today? Well, I think he probably is ordering some new tables at home, or he was sent out to the garden to the naughty corner, because Mercedes also, yeah, that is one thing I'm going to mention from the race. What was Bottas' strategy? Mercedes completely cocked up Bottas' strategy today, pitting him on the hards on a two-stop strategy. That was mental. I mean, the hards proved to be a terrible tyre choice. They really didn't hold up for a one-stop strategy. So, yeah, that was really bad on that front. It's a shame we didn't get to see Carlos on the podium. I'm gutted for Carlos that we didn't get to see him. First ever podium, it feels a little bit bittersweet that he wasn't able to celebrate up there. I agree with that, Ed, but it is the irony that his great performances this year, a lot hasn't been covered by Sky on TV. So it's kind of almost ironic that his first podium is there. Do you think Ocon will struggle with Renault next year? Because the year off F1 usually isn't good. I don't think Ocon is going to have a great season next year. He didn't beat Sergio Perez in a Force India, and Daniel Ricciardo is a very good driver, and that team will be built around Daniel Ricciardo at Renault. I think Ocon will do well, but I think he will struggle from there. And yeah, Schumacher or Elliott for F2 Championship next year. I mean, Schumacher is in Prema race. I'm going to back Mick. The name of Mick Schumacher bears a heavy burden. Yeah, I'm going to go for Mick Schumacher next year for F2 Championship, Petrolhead. Great to hear about Kubica. I'm from Poland too, but I think the same. Maybe with better car. I think even with a better car, I think Kubica's mind is there as a driver, but I don't think his physical ability is there. And obviously, he never raced with Pirelli tyres, and Pirelli tyres are such a difficult tyre to manage. It was always going to be a very difficult return. And it's difficult. I don't think we want to remember Robert Kubica as this guy who was a back marker in a Williams. I like to remember Robert Kubica as the guy who made Lewis Hamilton sweat, who, whenever you hear Lewis Hamilton talk about Robert Kubica, I think he said he's the best driver that he's ever driven against. I mean, that obviously having driven against Schumacher, Alonso and Vettel, it might be inflated and wrong there. But yeah, Kubica certainly is a talent that we were robbed of his best years. And who knows, things might have been a lot different if Robert Kubica never had that accident. And there, he might have challenged. Hamilton might not be on 6 world championships now. I think a lot of people, for the romantic side of things, would love Mick Schumacher in F1, Ed. I'd agree with that. Gio needed time to recover from his year-long break. Yeah, yeah, a year-long break does do it. Yuri Vips, obviously, if he finished P4, I think, in F3 this year, but if he'd actually finished P3, he would have had enough points to race in F1 next year. And Yuri Vips, for me, would have been a very interesting seat to see if Daniel Kvyat might have been replaced. I know he was confirmed for 2020, but maybe halfway through the season, Yuri Vips given a go. Schumacher for Ferrari 2022, no chance. Not for Ferrari, but Alfa Romeo, I think in 2021 is a good shout, and it will take him a long time to develop. You don't just Hamilton is the only one who's been thrown into a championship contending car as a rookie. Even Verstappen in a Toro Rosso was there. Yeah, be very interesting. Alonso already congratulated Sainz on Twitter. Yeah, that is fantastic from the Spanish drivers. Obviously, Alonso, the most successful Spanish driver in F1 history. Sainz looking to do that in his career. At 25 years old, he does has a long film. Is Hamilton's career over? Rosberg meme. Thank you for that one, Tim. I hope it's done. It's quite hard to tell how different the cars are. Right. Right, guys, I think I'm going to round off there. Been great chatting to you guys in the comments. We will be back in Abu Dhabi. That is obviously the 7th and 8th of December. We'll be coming with qualifying live stream there and race live stream there. If you guys like the live streams, so hopefully go from there. Hope you guys done that. Loved you guys in the comments. Thanks for getting involved. What a fantastic race we had in Brazil. Brilliant. My favorite race of the season. Fantastic race by Max Verstappen. Congratulations there. Massive congratulations to Pierre Gasly, and huge congratulations to Carlos Sainz on that first ever podium for himself, and first podium for McLaren since 2014. I've mentioned that a lot, I do realise. But guys, thanks for being involved in the comments. Thanks for being there. Really appreciate it. Glad you guys subscribed. Glad you guys like the content. We will be tomorrow with my driver ratings. So yeah, make sure you check out the driver ratings coming out at 5 p.m. tomorrow, where I give the grid 1 to 20, a rating out of 10 from there. So awesome, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. See you later. For now, UF1 fans, keep racing.